Hey Periscope, it's me Lola. Hope you guys are having the most amazing Monday. Happy afternoon. Grace and peace, Lundy. And I told you guys last Monday when I jumped on to show you like my couponing escapade and stuff that I was going to be back and I didn't come back. I apologize for not coming back. Grace and peace, Rebecca. Hope you're doing well. I don't know what I got to do in that day. I think I ran around, did a little bit more grocery shopping, and I have no clue what I did that day, but I know I couldn't come back on, so I apologize. I will do the message over here at some point. I'm not even going to say when I'm going to do it right now at the moment. Grace and peace. Who is in here? Rebecca, thanks for inviting your followers. I can't see who all is in here. I just see Lundy and Rebecca, but someone else is on, but obviously you don't. Okay. Candace Pearl, my fam. I hadn't seen you in forever. Where have you been? Where have you been? Yes. Hey. How is my connection? Is my connection good? Is my connection okay? Okay. So I think I'm going to give you a little bit more over here on Periscope. I actually just did this message on Facebook, but I think I might give you some more because you're over on Periscope with me and I have more time. I wanted to get off of Facebook because I know a group that always comes on Monday through Friday at 12 noon, and I didn't want to disrespect them because I am connected to them. So I wanted to get off of Facebook, but I was like, let me jump over here while I'm on or else it's not going to get done. So I hope everybody's having the most amazing Monday. So months ago, I did something called Morning Muse on Mondays. And I said that Mondays were like our new favorite day of the week. And it was really because I got sick of like going to work on Monday and hearing people in the elevator talking about, oh, it's Monday. I can't wait for it to be Friday. And I got sick of it. I was like, oh, no. Because what I wanted to say is stop rushing your time away. You can't wait for it to be Friday. My God, it's Monday. Like, what's wrong with it? It's a mini new year. You know what I'm saying? It's the beginning of another week, you know? So I was just like, I'm going to rebrand Monday. So I started doing morning muses. And then I was like, okay, I've had my run with morning muses. I got to push my energy somewhere else. And I was like, I'll do something different. And now I'm feeling like I want to come back to doing it. But I have to figure out what kind of schedule I'm going to do. It's not going to be in the mornings. I'll pick, I may even like do the videos and then just pre-schedule them to go out so you guys can see them on Mondays. Oh, wow, girl, you are in the vein. So Candace Pearl, sorry, I got distracted, said I had to get intentional about my time with God and less time on social media. So actually, that's what this conversation is all about. It's about working less and producing more. And one way that we do that is by listening to what God is telling us, you know. So I know that I have some people that have businesses and ministries on here, things that they're doing. You have a job, you have a career. So I don't know if you saw Lamar come in, Lamar T. Harvey. He actually is the creator of London Design, which is a digital media company. They help artists find their voice and leave their digital footprint all over. They work with media forms from photography to videography, all sorts of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So like, I know that he's on here and he's probably like, I want to know how I can work less and produce more. You have Rebecca on here. She's a psalmist. She sings. Yes. So you guys get acquainted with one another. And she's actually not even in the United States. So she blesses my heart so much. You have Candace on here who's building her career and pursuing the vision that she wants and pursuing the mission that she believes God has given her, right? So you have people on here and you have some of you other ones that I don't know personally, and it's okay. Maybe I'll get to know you later, but you're pursuing whatever you're pursuing. You're pursuing your passion. You're pursuing this burden that God is giving you. You're pursuing what you feel like you need to do in life at this moment. And I say at this moment because I feel like purpose evolves. I feel like even if you do something, it'll grow into something else. Like for me, when God gave me the Smoking Prophet, it started as a blog, but then he was like, podcast. And I got to tell you the story about how I got the message from God to podcast. That's very interesting. I still haven't wrapped my head all the way around it. But when he first started telling me to do the Smoking Prophet, it started as blog, and then it went to podcasts. And before it even went to podcasts, I got this huge burden to help faith-based companies really to leave their mark in our culture without compromising, and also with being sensitive to diversity and inclusion and all of that stuff. So I have a huge burden for that, huge burden for helping faith-based companies with that. And then I have a huge burden for creators and anyone pursuing their passions, because I love organizing information and creative ideas and all of that stuff. But anyways, I started here and then ended up going here, and God was like, okay, this is basically going to be that on steroids, right? So I was like, okay, boom. So, purpose evolves, like your mission evolves. But right now you have something that you want to do. You have something that you're pursuing, and you probably are wanting it to grow bigger. You probably see it expanding and growing bigger, but you're like, I don't know what to do to help the process out. And what I'm telling you to do is just to pause and to do whatever God is giving for you personally. God speaks to all of us. I did a whole podcast with my husband, Dante Barlow, and with Philip M. Watson on how God speaks to each and every one of us, and how he does it sometimes without even speaking audibly, how he'll speak to our heart, how he'll speak through news headlines, subject headers and emails, how he'll speak through a song, how he'll speak through a feeling, how sometimes you can sense God in something that you smell, how God will just reveal knowledge to you, how he'll reveal people's hearts to you. And I know when we think about God revealing people's hearts to you, we think about him revealing something bad, but God can reveal the purity in someone's heart. I can't tell you how many times that I've gotten connected to people, and God has shown me the person's heart, or he's allowed me to feel it, right? He's allowed me to feel it. And when I felt it, I was like, oh my gosh, and I kind of just melted. Like Philip M. Watson, perfect example. I walked up to Philip M. Watson the first time I met him in Chicago, and all I felt was love. All I felt was love. So I walked up to him and I was just like, oh my gosh, I just feel so much love. Tamara McNair Hicks, I saw her in Michigan when she did her first Dreamscope conference. And when I walked up to her, I felt humility. That's what I felt. You know what I'm saying? So God will reveal stuff to us. He will reveal people's hearts, and it's not always a bad thing. It can be a good thing. Like I felt humility on her, and I was like, my gosh, you're so humble. Like, oh, you're so humble. And then later on, I was like, that's why she has all of that revelation when it comes to seeing and dreaming, because she's so humble. You know what I'm saying? So, you may be thinking like, oh, well, I gotta burn myself out. I gotta work myself super hard. And what I'm telling you today with this message is that you don't. You just gotta stop. You just gotta pause, and you just gotta sense what God is saying to you personally, however he speaks to you. So God may speak to you in dreams. God may use another person to speak to you. I'm a strong dreamer. Like, I've always seen things in my dreams from the time I've been like a yay high, single digit age. I've always seen stuff in my dreams, even when I didn't understand it. God may speak to you audibly. I don't hear the audible voice of God all the time. I think I've heard the audible voice of God. I can count it on one hand. The most significant incident that I remember is being in my bedroom, and I was there by myself, and I heard God speak, and his voice was just indescribable. But I sense God a lot in my heart. Okay. So Psalmist Rebecca said she senses God a lot through her thoughts. And I find that God does do that a lot, where he'll just drop a thought on you. And sometimes it can sound like your own voice. And it's really God fusing his mind with yours, because ultimately that's what he wants. That's what Jesus talked about, how he and God were one. Okay. And how he wanted us all to have that same connection. He wanted us to be connected to other believers, but he also wanted us to have that special connection with God too. And you can find that in John chapter 17. But you got to slow down. You got to pause, and you got to sense how God wants to speak to you, because there's so much stuff that God wants to give us. And I felt super burdened by this like an hour ago, and I felt sad, honestly. And the reason I felt sad is because I could sense that the majority of people just straight up were not going to stop and take time to hear what God was saying, because their response was going to be an excuse like, I don't have time, or I can't afford to do that, you know? And because you're saying that, you're going to miss out on what God wants to do for you, because opportunity is like knocking, but God is saying like, you got to do something to prepare. Then I thought about companies and how even for companies and businesses, they'll have to stop. You know, sometimes they have to shut down what they're doing. Sometimes I'll come back and read your comments. Sometimes they have to shut down what they're doing. Sometimes they'll just have to reallocate their funds. And I think about like a company I worked for recently, and how like we had a huge meeting where they were just talking about the company transitioning and what was coming up for it in the future. And they kind of slowly snuck in how they had closed a whole department, but they highlighted like what that had opened up for them. So sometimes when you're running and managing something, when you're managing your life, sometimes you'll have to say, hey, I got to slow down in this area and push this energy over here. Or I'm going to have to go into rest mode. I'm going to have to go into basically like a pseudo hibernation mode so that I can just prepare for the next thing that's happening. If companies have to do this, why do you think that you don't have to do this to prepare for the future, to prepare for the change that God wants you to have, to prepare for the growth? I had to do it recently, and I'm about to have to do it again, you all. But in August, I think it was August, I had to come off of like social media, and I pre-scheduled my posts, and I came on very lightly, I think, if anything. But I pre-scheduled my content so that I would not have to be present on social media. And I used that energy, and I accomplished so much, you know, to prepare for what God was giving me. And after that time, I shared a dream that I actually shared on the Smoking Prophet podcast. It's called A Prophetic Word for Your Life. But I shared a dream there where God basically was telling me, you're going to reap, you know, the rewards of your work. Like, you didn't work in vain. You stopping and pausing and doing what I'm asking you to do, that's going to come back to you. And to be honest with you, this whole pause thing that God has had me on, it did not just start this year. He started talking to me about that in like 2017. He was like, I need you to invest in you more. I need you to do this, you know. I need you to pull back. And like now he just having me do it more aggressively, like pull back, you know. And so let me tell you the dream really quickly. In the dream, me and my husband were planting a garden, and he had a bag of soil, and the bag of soil was being opened, and there were people around him, and they were kind of making noises like, you know, like something was happening, but they weren't saying what was actually happening. So I was thinking, like, is something wrong? Like, something wrong with this soil? Are we going to have to go back to the store and get some more? And so he continued to open the bag. And as he continued to open the bag, I heard them doing that even more. So I'm kind of inching up, trying to see what's happening. I'm not knowing what's going on. And then I see that he got the bag all the way open. And when he opened the bag from top to bottom, it was soil that came out the bag, but it was also plants that were actually growing in the bag. Now, you know, if you buy soil, you're usually not going to have any plants growing in that bag, right? It's just going to be dirt. Sometimes it'll have the little white balls in it that help your soil to stay moist and stuff and help your plants to grow. But it's just going to be dirt. So what I saw was like, man, I saw dirt, but then I saw these huge like plants like coming out of the bag too. And it's so crazy because I almost ignored this dream. Like when I had the dream, I woke up and was like, oh, that's a weird dream, you know, and I just kept going. And then my daughter's cat, which is a black cat by Charlie, by the way, but he went outside and he was by the bag of soil, which was so weird because he never goes in that direction. At our house, he would always go towards the front or towards like our cars, and he went back to the back and he was by the garden soil. And when that happened, God flashed the dream back before me, and then God gave me immediate insight on what it meant. And this was the strongest point. It was that because we had been preparing, me and my husband had been stopping to go back and do the things that the Lord had told us to do. He was like, when you plant, you're already going to be producing. You know what I'm saying? We were preparing in that dream to plant soil to help our plants produce. And he was like, when you plant, you're already going to be producing. Like, you got plants that are busting out a bag of soil. And what's crazy in the natural, God confirmed that, because me and my husband were gardening. And we actually, like, were planning to garden that week. When I had the dream, I think it was a Wednesday, and we were planning to garden that week. We came and did it on Sunday, right? We did it on Sunday, and when we planted our garden, the seeds, we planted a ton of stuff, which, by the way, a lot are still producing. I'm shocked, like things that shouldn't be producing anymore, like tomatoes, cucumbers, because it has gotten cold in North Carolina. What else is producing? And it's weird. Green beans. I just got a ton of green beans, even though my grandmother said they would be here until it really, really frosted over. But anyways, our seeds said that it would take between 10 to 14 days for them to like sprout, right? For them to produce life. Why in 7 days we had green life sprouting from the ground? It was crazy. So it's like God confirmed even in the natural the thing he said in the dream. But I'm saying that to you to make a point that you have time to stop. You have time to prepare. Grace and peace, Dr. Calissa. I hope you're doing well. But you have time to stop. You have time to stop and prepare, especially if that's what God has told you. We don't ever waste time when we come in God's presence. That's not a waste of time. You know what I'm saying? Because God has everything we need. I'm thinking about the Kanye West song. He's got everything we need. Ooh, ooh. Okay. Sorry, I got distracted. But yeah, God has got everything that we need. So when we come into his presence, when we pause and we get before him and we say, God, what do you want me to do? And we're humble about it. I'm not talking about where we be like, God, I'm doing this. What you think about it? You know what I'm saying? Where you basically directing everything. God, I'm doing this. What you think about it? But where you actually say, God, I'm doing this. What do you want me to do? If this is not what you want me to do, then tell me. I might be embarrassed a little bit because I done started building. You know what I'm saying? I started building. Grace and peace, everybody. I might be embarrassed, but I'll stop, God, because you said it. And you're smarter than me. You know what I'm saying? I love you, Tanetta. Thank you, everybody, for inviting your followers. I appreciate it. But seriously, you go before him and you go humbly. Not like, God, yo, I got this on the table. What we about to do about this? No, you go humbly like, no, God, I'm doing this. What do you want me to do, though? If this is not what you want me to do, then I'll fall back. You know? I feel like even for some of us that God has been causing us to get leaner, not because what we're doing is not what he wants us to do. It's because he really is trying to test our motives too. I felt that the other day real strong. He wants to test our motives. And I'm going to go back to what I was talking about on Facebook and wrap this up. What we're doing, we just need to ask God about it and ask God to help us pause and to tell us what we should be doing. I saw an article recently and it said, changing habits, rebuilding season. So now in this moment, it's a good time to say, God, what do you want me to do to apply what he's saying to change any habits you've established that he doesn't want you to do anymore? You know, some things that God tells us to do can be for a time. And it may be something you pick back up later, or it may be something that you have to just completely leave alone. I told you guys in the prophetic word for your life that me and my husband did on the Smoking Prophet podcast. I think it's episode 47. Maybe I could be lying. But on that one where God told me to do like some strange things, you know, like, okay, God, this does not make sense. But it's like, he's testing motives and he's cutting things back. He's cutting things back. And we just have to listen. So in those moments, you just push back, you know, put back those things he's saying to put back. You change your habits and then you start rebuilding with him, because he wants to make sure that ambition has not gotten in your building process and that you're still like putting him at the front of everything that you do. You're still asking God to guide your daily experience, to guide your daily decisions. You're still asking God to be the captain of your purpose, right? He wants to make sure that ambition is not there. Grace and peace, everybody that's on. And someone that we can see in scripture that built with purpose and they were burdened with purpose was Nehemiah. When he built with purpose. He was burdened with purpose. I encourage you all to read that book. It's not very long, but in the beginning of the book, it says that Nehemiah, sorry, I thought I heard something. It says that Nehemiah heard about the state of Israel, right? He heard about what was happening to Israel. And at that time, Israel had gone through an exile and they were coming back to the city, their home, in waves. They were coming back in these different waves. Exiles were coming back in, and the walls of the city, which protected it, right, they were torn down. So Nehemiah heard about it, and Nehemiah got burdened. And the first thing he did, he prayed. He prayed. He went to God. He came, he paused. He didn't just say, I'm going to go build this wall. He didn't just say, I'm going to go and do that. I'm going to go and do this. He stopped, he paused, he prayed, and he got the green light from God. Now, some people that were doing something with some ambition, which is not okay, are the people in the Tower of Babel. The people in the Tower of Babel, their whole purpose to build that building, to build what they did, was to make themselves famous. That's what the New Living Translation says. It said they wanted to be famous, okay? Some other versions say that they wanted to make a name for themselves. Think about it. And by the time we get to that point where we're wanting to do things for our own reasons, like, God is not even there no more. God is saying, I'm about to blow on their plans and I'm about to stop all of that, okay? All right, so that's how you work less and you produce more. You just stop, you pause, you come back, you sit with the Father, and you let the Father give you what you need. And the strange things that He's asking you to do, you do it. And if you think it's too strange, you talk to your friends about it. You know, you talk to your spiritual advisor, whoever, your pastor, whatever, whoever is someone that you can go to for wise, godly counsel, spiritual counsel. You go and talk to them. Okay, I'm not talking about psychic when I say spiritual advisor, but the fact that I have to even say that is crazy, because that whole area of the spiritual belongs to God. But I'll talk about that on another day, not today. But you go to them and you talk to them about it and be like, yo, God is asking me to do this. This seems weird. And you guys pray and you guys allow God to confirm it for you. He's a good parent. You know, when my children come to me with something and they're distressed and they don't know what to do and they don't understand what's happening, you know what I do? I take time to show them. I teach them. I go over as many times as they need. I was talking to my husband about something, our oldest son, something that I have been talking to him about. And I'm like, he is not getting it. I said, Dante, he's not getting it. I said, but this is what I'm going to keep doing. I said, every time, I said, I'm just going to show him over and over and over again. I said, and eventually he's going to get it. And God does the same thing. All right. I love you guys. I gave you a little bit more than I gave my people over on Facebook because I had a little bit more time to plow into it. If you feel like you are one of the people that needed to hear this message, then I encourage you to listen to the Smoke and Profit podcast. It's available anywhere you listen to podcasts. So Apple Podcasts, Google Play, SoundCloud, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. I encourage you to listen to A Prophetic Word for Your Life, but I also encourage you to listen to episode 58, which is the most recent one. And that one is actually, what is the name of that one? Staying You in a Copycat Culture. Because sometimes what we see around us will push us to want to do things that we don't need to do yet. You know what I'm saying? It'll push us to want to prove ourselves and say, I'm great too. It'll push us to want to release stuff even before it's time. Let me tell you guys something funny. I love how God speaks through all different situations. My daughter had this word processor. Thank you, Tanetta, for putting that up there. I love you so much, fam. She had this word processor that I actually used to play with when I was a kid. It was my grandmother's, so her great grandmother. So our grandmother. I'm so possessive. Our great grandmother was like, she could have it. So she brought it to our house, and she has it set up at her little desk and sitting at a chair, and she's doing her thing, right? And she's writing a story. She's so excited about the story she's writing. And she kept interrupting me in the kitchen. She kept bringing it to me. And she's like, oh, mommy, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And then she goes sit back down. Then she goes back, oh, mommy, I just wrote this. And then she goes sit back down. And she came back the last time, and I said, girl, if you would stop what you're doing and just sit there and focus on it, you would be done. But every time you start doing something, you want to pop up and tell me what's happening, and it's slowing you down. And some of us are like that, you know? Because we feel like we need to prove ourselves, because we've been overlooked, or because we have things that people have taken us for granted for. Every time we start working and doing what God has told us to do, we want to pop up and be like, hey, I'm doing this. And God is like, sit down and you might get something done. So if you feel like this message has been for you, me and my husband go into something a little bit different that's going to help to encourage you and to help you stand strong and confidently in who you are, so that you don't have to conform to the things that you're seeing around you, and so that you don't work to be in competition with anyone other than old you and future self. Did you get that? All right. I love y'all. I'm out of here. Thanks so much for coming on, everybody that's here. Thanks for sharing the broadcast. I super appreciate you guys. I'm out. I got some stuff to do. Tanetta, you need to hit me up whenever you get an opportunity. And Lundy, Dante is going to be reaching out to you prayerfully within the next 2 weeks. Yeah. He needs to catch up with you. Rebecca, thanks for coming on. Everybody else that's in the room that I didn't get to shout out personally, let me see if I can see who some of you all are. Valerie Moss, grace and peace to you. Jamie Kelly, thanks for coming on. Candace Pro, you know I love you. Lawanda, what's up? Denaya Banks, grace and peace. I can't see who else is on. It tells me more viewers are here, but I can't see your actual name. So I apologize about that. This weekend is perfect. Yep. This weekend is perfect. Just give me a date and give me a time and all of that good stuff. All right. Love you guys. Have the most amazing Monday, your new fave day of the week. Don't you forget it. All right. Bye.